working relations with municipalities, because if you don't do that, there's nothing that will get right. And as a result, despite whatever challenges, we do have sessions with Machabing to try to get the G hostel through the line, and that is also coupled by some of the creative measures, including alternative, sanitation that we have had to go across the seas to look for a quick, speedy response to this. We are in a tripartite type of a working relation, including with the DWS, which is intervening in Machabing to sort out the sewer issues. I think there was a point when various pump stations were being opened. The biggest issue there is the carbon treatment plant that requires electrification. And the last time we checked, we were in the middle of facilitating, making sure that ESCOM does come to the party. With the treatment plant being supplied by power in terms of the power generator that is quite expensive, but we hope that solutions will come through. So I said on ESCOM we are directly involved. I said because Machabing is articulated by ESCOM, not by the municipality. On the bulk and sewer, we are working to make sure that as soon as certain areas are completed, we are able to connect ourselves into their network, and then we can tenant people. There are various factors as to why there will have been vandalism. I said some of them, the term of the contractor will expire, and in certain instances the department will have tried to trigger either an extension or to appoint under emergency, and the AG will always say it's a self-created emergency. And now as we speak, we are in a process where the contractors we had on site, their term expired. The contract period has expired. The facility management company is on site. The work that is ongoing there is to snag and make sure that they now meet the standards of the facility management company and to enable them to manage it easily. Why we brought in the facility management companies to really respond to some of the concerns that we find at the Brandwag and so on, to make sure that it doesn't deteriorate, and they will have been appointed for a particular period of time. Both Machabing and Mangaung are clear that they don't have the capacity to manage those facilities themselves, and they are for the arrangement of a facility management company. Now, the completion date, subject to availability of funding, which is reliant on HSDG, we're looking at 2028. What will have been the reasons for this sliding back? I would have said it's contract management. It's number of issues that were not being handled internally. It's contractors. We've got a whole lot of list of that, which in terms of what we are currently going through, we are dealing with those issues, but also to make sure that we set the space for future such that there are no problems of those nature. Let me repeat, the CRUs are a rental stock. So there's no list of beneficiaries that is somewhere. It's people who apply, who qualify, and it is the low income bracket where I think a single unit at the CRU will be around 1.2, 1.4, somewhere there. So this is not your market type of establishments that you'll find elsewhere, where people, where our low income earners will not be able to afford. And I've tried earlier on to explain, Chair, as to the type of space we are dealing with. I would prefer that Mangaung speaks to the Brandwag details, Chair. But we were there not so long ago, and we didn't see anything that is from 2019. There will have been a joint operation with the police, I think in the past day or so, where you find all manner of problems at the center. And the municipality is thus dealing with how do you get it right and make sure that you also speak to all elements that are required whenever you take people out. We know what we have discovered in that particular area. We know that it is wrong. It has got to be resolved. The strategy is dealing with Machabing. Look, we're working with everything and everybody to make sure that we sort out the issues that I've spoken about. I wouldn't look. You might want to interpret the delay mathematically, and ascribe them to an individual unit. I wouldn't do that. But neither will I stop any member from doing that. But on our side is that we inherited the project from 2014, it had problems. Where we are now, 270 is completed, and we are protecting it to avoid vandalism. Once we sort out the seaward, we will tenant it. Where we are now in G Hostel, 130 is completed, and we are tenanting it. And there's 24-hour security being provided, and it will remain a permanent feature of that particular institution where security is provided. And at the initial stage, the proceeds that are received by the facility management company are not yet being processed to the municipality. They are being used to bring an upgrade to all the aspects that they need to make sure that the facility is secured. And when everything is done, and then they're at a point where we can, maybe in simplified language, profit is being made, then the proceeds can be taken to the municipality. But the issue of water and so on, including individual metering, we are finalizing issues with the municipality on the issue of the SLA, so that we've got individualized meters, particularly on the electricity. Centrelec wanted us to sign a servitude, which is an issue that we had a difficulty with, and we're sorting it out with Mangawi municipality on how we can deal with it. And remember that at human settlement, we don't really have assets that are registered in our name. We don't hold that, and we could not sign a servitude in that regard. So we're finding a solution. We have got a team that sits regularly with Mangaung, which is what enabled us to open the Vista 2 projects for military veterans, and it is what enabled us to reach a tenanting stage at the level of the Dark and Silver City. It is the same approach in Machabeng, despite the fact that if we had no sewer problems there, we will have tenanted already those 270 in Machabeng. If there is other additional information required, Chair, in terms of the honorable members, we will be willing to deal with it through questions where we'll be able to provide the information that they want. Thank you very much, Chair. I hope I've assisted the process. Thank you.
Thanks, MEC Mokoena. Colleagues, it's 1 o'clock. We're supposed to be going on lunch, but unfortunately lunch is not yet ready. It is delayed, so we are going to proceed with the work of the day because we're trying to save time. I was also informed that the Honorable Klute was not going to present on behalf of the committee that is leading. The COCTA that is here, it is the portfolio of the position that is holding in the legislature. But he is going to do a presentation on behalf of the chair of chairs. So if Honorable Klute, you are ready to take that, to do that presentation, we'll use the delay of lunch to take that presentation whilst we allow the MECs and the Premier to leave if their time to leave is here. And thank you very much, Premier and the MECs that are here. We know that you are under a very hectic schedule in terms of your work, but at least you managed to be here with us. We really appreciate it so much as the NCOP. Then I will give Ndate Klute to present on behalf of the chair of chairs as to what is it that the legislature portfolio committees have earned on these projects that we're going to visit in terms of their mandate. Over to you, Ndate Klute.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, I think the confusion came in when I introduced myself as Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. But yes, I was also this morning informed that I'm going to do a presentation. I usually scrutinize presentations. I don't present them, but yes, basically just from our side, as I do the presentation, it is, let me just quickly get to my, the purpose of what I'm supposed or going to do now is just provide a report on to the delegation on the progress made by the Free State Legislature itself since your last provincial week last year. So members who have seen or received the report, I think it was circulated on the group as well, on your group, but I'm going to skip to I think the most important page or the slide is slide 8, which is also there on the screen. Those were the 4 responses to the resolutions. I must just add, during our meetings with the departments and even municipalities, we did request them to give us progress reports on these resolutions of yourselves. So we didn't just leave it there. We also did ask the departments to make presentations and to submit it to us. But there you'll see the 4 responses. The first one is to urgently finalize, let's call it unwanted expenditure investigations and refer criminal matters as required. Public status updates to the legislature. You also see the timeframes there, the deadlines, 31st of January this year, progress reports on the 30th of April and the 30th of September. And I can report back that no report has been received from the provincial government for the publication in line with the deadlines provided. This is going to be the trend in all 4 the resolutions. The next one will be to strengthen impact capacity and ensure written outcomes of investigations. They should be tabled and follow up in council. Once again, no progress report was received. The Premier was requested to mandate a provincial-wide audit of unwanted expenditure backlogs and ensure impacts receive resources to finalize investigations. And you see there no progress report has been received. And also the last one then is to finalize all UIFW investigations older than 12 months to ensure impact reports include disciplinary, civil recovery and criminal referral actions. Once again, no progress report was received from the provincial government in line with the deadlines as we provided. So if we look at the status of the implementation, there were 4 resolutions, 0 progress reports received and 2 reporting deadlines already passed. Shortly, just to highlight what this means for oversight, the legislature itself is thus unable to report to the House or to this delegation on whether the resolutions have been implemented, because the underlying reports that we need have not been submitted by the provincial government. The accountability chain therefore breaks up. At the reporting stage, the oversight instruments are in place and functioning, but the information required to close the loop is not forthcoming. But the legislature is proceeding with its own instruments. That's section 171, 129, 132 and 139 reports, and will continue to pursue the outstanding reports. And therefore, you can read the conclusion there, but the delegation is requested to note the progress made by the legislature in strengthening oversight over municipalities. That's part of our presentation, which I skipped, but members can read it there to see what exactly we are doing. If I may just add something, we've adopted a system where we actually do joint committees between ProPac, and I think the chairperson of ProPac, the Provincial Public Accounts Committee, is not here. He was here earlier. But our system is like this. When we deal with quarterly reports, we sit with both ProPac as well as the other department to be able to link the non-financials and financials with each other. And that's actually a very good system, because it assists us to see a much bigger picture of what's going on in the departments. And we also do that when we deal with municipalities. So we really zoom into what is going on in municipalities as well. Also, we request that you support the recommendations placed before it, or yourselves, in particular the submissions of the outstanding reports with 30 days, and then also consider the structure feedback arrangement between the NCOP and the legislature on provincial their resolutions. Chairperson, that's my story. I think it was just necessary that we just give feedback on where we are on your resolutions that we were supposed to deal with as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ndate Klute, for the presentation. I think, I'm not sure if honorable members from the NCOP point of view, you like to raise some questions to Ndate Klute, but he said he was tasked this morning. I'm not sure if he will be able to respond to everything, but I think he can be able to respond to what he is aware of. But other MPLs as well are here, and I believe they are part of these committees. They can be able to assist in terms of responses on the questions that will be coming from the NCOP point of view. I'll observe hands. Honorable Nue.
Chair, it is just a procedural question I'm asking. I received this report this morning. Now, I don't know whether Honorable Klute also got it this morning, but he said in his opening remarks he's used to interrogate reports, not to present reports. So if he perhaps made this report this morning, I just want to express our dissatisfaction, therefore, that how could it have been expected to us to engage with your report if we received it 10:30 this morning? When was it ready? It took the whole 12 months. Our report, I know, 3 months after we are here, we send our comments, but we're only receiving it today. It doesn't really add value for us for coming here and only receive this report. It's the message that I'm saying, take it back also, that we are not happy in the manner in which you treated us. Thank you.
Dadam Kona, do you want to say something?
No, thanks very much, Chairperson, and greetings to everybody in the House. No, we are taking that comment seriously, and I'm sure as the legislature will deal with that going forward, that the NCOP must get reports on time, as they do send reports on time to ourselves also. So like Ndate indicated, the procedural matter, we'll definitely have to take it up like that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ndate Mkwena. Indeed, colleagues, I must say it is quite disturbing and concerning that as the NCOP, we are fair enough to provinces, all 9 provinces, in terms of how we relate and how we handle our affairs per our different mandates. When we send information or correspondence or whatever invites to the provinces, we do it at the same time in 9 provinces. For an example, if the chairperson of the NCOP or the chief whip or any presiding officer will want to engage with provinces, with the business of the NCOP, we do it the same way uniformly. There is no province that will send invite or correspondence to them at 11th at no point. So indeed, we become very disappointed if we will arrive after we would have followed all the due processes in terms of our visit here, and we arrive here and the house is not in order. Some of the information really comes on the day that we are supposed to be getting a briefing. Indeed, that is a serious concern that we are registering as the NCOP. However, it will not end here as a concern. We are going to also communicate it to the presiding officers of the legislature formally, our disappointment and discomfort in a manner in which things did unfold in this provincial week. But thank you very much, colleagues, for really being here and making sure that you give us the necessary information so that we are able to also support the province, because one of the reasons and the mandate that we carry is not only to critique the provinces, but to also to assist the provinces with interventions. That's why we request an honest view or facts of issues that are happening on the ground. Because if our issues are good on paper, but when we go on the ground, we found something different, it becomes a problem to us, because we have to deal with the issue of honesty first. And at that time, we have to provide interventions where the need arises, the NCOP, to support the provinces that we are coming from. Because not as permanent delegates from the Free State, we want our province to prosper. We want our provinces to give the communities what they have promised them and what the mandate of their responsibilities requires them to provide to the communities. That's why we are called public representatives. If we can underline that, all of us as honorable members or as parliamentarians will be able to work along and go along, traverse the journey of finding South Africa being a better place for all of us to live in, because we'll really, Tina, as lawmakers or public representatives, are able to be accountable of our actions. Because if we lack holding each other accountability, I can tell you, colleagues, we're going nowhere as the society. So colleagues must see being held accountable as part also of assisting them to carry out their mandate. Because without it, we cannot move. That's why all these systems are in place. So thank you very much. Let us see each other after lunch. I'm not sure if the lunch is now ready. I don't see Mariette, but they said within 20 minutes from 1 o'clock. I'm told that the lunch is ready. We can break for lunch. We'll come back at 2:15. And then when we come back, we are expecting to have National Department of Public Works and their supporting agencies to be here, so as the Executive Mayor of Mangaung. Thank you very much, colleagues. Let us have a wonderful lunch and come back at 2:15. If we need more information, we shall do so and communicate with your good self through this platform and beyond this platform. But for now, re tsholele so o re phetseng sona ntate, and welcome. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, and let me greet all our esteemed members of Parliament, members of the legislature here, and the provincial government, if it's in the House, and the team that I am with to come and present ourselves before your committee and indicate that you can hear, Chairperson, I'm not in my best health condition. But I'll do the best that I can. In the letter communicated to our office, the committee requested to give an outlay of Mangaung in terms of its modus of operandi on a day in and day out activity, and 3 specific questions that were directed to us. Chairperson, allow me to recap Mangaung as a metro that is still under Section 139, subsection 7, A and C. Although we are subjected to that intervention, the team that was sent by national, both at the level of COCTA and at the level of cabinet rep, left the province. So we have been under Section 139 operating as a metro and ensuring that we fulfill the mandate, particularly driven by the financial recovery plan. When the team left, the cabinet rep left us with a financial recovery plan. In it had 4 cardinal points. The first being governance, the second being institutional stability, the third being service delivery, and the fourth being finances. We operated under the guide of this financial recovery plan, amongst other things, but not limited to ensure that we really stabilize the metro to be what it should be. To date, we can pride ourselves to have established governance in terms of the discipline of operations, including functional committees across the board, with all necessary tools that makes the council to operate, like the financial recovery board, the internal audit committee, and other related committees to be functional, including MPEC. We are also able to can report that all Section 8 and Section 79 committees are in operation, but also to indicate that the metro has got the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the speaker, as well as the chief whip, are elected by council. And we can also indicate to the committee that we now have a fully fledged high echelon management, from the city manager to the HOD, that are now mending their responsible portfolios. And whilst in the process of making sure that we allow the intervention by Treasury to introduce reforms that we have also adhered to, in terms of introducing water services, as well as working towards solid waste by way of unbundling some of the department to tailor-make them to what National Treasury requires of us. That's where the metro is now. We are now working very hard to ensure that we deal with the middle management and ensure that we observe the existence of the structure. I need to indicate to the committee that we are operating as a metro with 40% or less in terms of those that are providing hardcore services at the level of our staff component. The reason being, our finances would not allow us to just willy-nilly raise our funds. It must collaborate with the tools of trade, and as well as the personnel that we must bring. But to date, we have generated 450 that we are bringing in into our staff component to work towards making sure that we address the issue that has been a nightmare before us over time, that has actually come to bite the metro in terms of its financial audit outcome, amongst other things. Chairperson, in your specific questions, one of the critical questions that was put before us was the work treatment works in Botshabelo. That speaks to where are we and what are we going to do, what are we doing with regards to dealing with it. In the recent past, the treatment works was a subject of vandalism and a subject of refurbishment in terms of it coming to address the needs of the people on the ground. But Botshabelo has grown, and the treatment works that we have across the metro are beginning to be limited to the user need of our growing metro. We are the biggest city in the metro and probably in the province, where hopes of many in the province lies with the metro in terms of migration of individuals, which begins to enlarge the growth that you see. As a result, the capacity of our infrastructure from time to time will need redress. And owing to our difficult past, where some of this infrastructure were not existent in some areas that preceded my age, for that matter. So we are working towards that. So the treatment plan that we are talking about, I would literally ask, I'm with in my team the CFO and our city manager. I'm not sure if it's here, but he will be joining us. He's actually from Pretoria, from Treasury, where he was ordered to go and account, and he landed at around 2 o'clock. So he will also be joining us in no time. And I would like to apologize for that. Now, I brought the two deliberately to say when we go deep into the issues and the figures, facts and figures around some of the issues that we have asked us to prevail before you, they should actually go deep into it. Safe to say, an amount of work was done on the treatment works. The second point that you really raised that we should address is the intermodal precinct that has been there lying fallow after it was created or developed. In their account, they are going to be able, Chairperson, to go deeper into demonstrating that in the past, the development took place on a land that was not the municipality. And agreements were entered into by Transnet and a service provider that was running the precinct to its ruins, as we would refer to. And the monies that were utilized in developing the precinct was that of the municipality. So we are at the point not only of recovering the precinct, but also to make sure that the precinct is converted into utilization that would benefit the municipality. There are a number of development in and around it that I would literally ask the CFO as well to allude to it. We literally took a trip to have a discussion with Transnet on the transfer of the land, because the monies that were used on top of the land of Transnet is ours, but the property belongs to Transnet. For us to be able to make any impactious development on it, it must be that the property belongs to the municipality. So we have had a meeting of minds with Transnet, and we have arrived at an understanding that the transfer must take place. There are figures involved in terms of payment of services that were as a result of the service provider that was hired by Transnet to literally run that precinct. I think that is the bone of contention, but the CFO will be able to allude to what kind of an understanding we are reaching with Transnet to ensure that we really indeed do transfer the property to be on our side, and we are working hard to do so. Now, Chairperson, if you do allow me, which I will literally from time to time come in as and when the question are asked, I really want to live into the limited time given to us and ask my CFO next to me to zoom directly into facts and figures of the two precincts that I've made reference to. If you do allow, Chairperson. Thank you.
With pleasure, Councillor, she may proceed.
Thank you so much, members, for the opportunity. Let me take this moment and greet the parliamentarians present here, the members of the Free State Provincial Government, the Executive Mayor, and all those that I need to greet, protocol observed. I'm going to be expanding on what the Executive Mayor has already alluded to. I will start first and expand on the state of the city, because that is also one of the areas that the communication we received wanted us to expand on. And we did present a short summary to the person that we're communicating to, but I'm going to take that opportunity in less than 10 minutes to run through and expand on what the EM has already spoken about. I think he has raised the fact that the city is under cabinet intervention. That intervention is still in place. It has not been uplifted. We are implementing the financial recovery plan, of which since we came in as the new administration with engagements between ourselves and National Treasury and looking at the financial recovery, we requested that the FRP must be revised so that it can incorporate the state of the city's finances and service delivery in the manner that we had observed and documented the status quo after we have arrived. And indeed, that request was accepted. The FRP is under review. They have done the collection of information. There is a report that will be going to council on the 27th of August with the revised activities under the new FRP that will start reporting on. We want to report to this committee that the cities has tabled a funded budget which was confirmed by National Treasury, but we want to also present to this committee that the funding status of Mangaung's budget was dependent on the instruments that were proposed by National Treasury, which is the ESCOM arrears that are bordering the city. We are currently sitting at about 1.6 billion in arrears with ESCOM, but we have now a signed repayment plan with them. And we are trying our level best together with Centlec to adhere to the terms and conditions by ensuring, number one, we are paying the current account in full and making those repayments in accordance with the agreement. We also have an agreement in place with Val Central, where we started our debt at 606 million in arrears as at March of 2024. And we've been making the payments in accordance with that and keeping up to date with the current account. As a result of those two agreements in place, when you're looking at the creditors of the city, there is an apportionment between the current and the non-current, which are assisting in arriving at a funded budget. So I wanted to put that because it is a conditional funding as a result of those instruments. And if those repayment plans can be not adhered to and be reversed, then the city's position will be dire in terms of the budget overall. On the cash position, I think the members would also know that the city was part of the municipalities whose equitable share was withheld, and it has since been released. And the reasons for the withholding of that equitable share that was mainly around the dealing with the UFW and the consequence management, which we are in consultation with National Treasury. We had a meeting on Friday discussing the progress that we are making, and I think the city remains committed in resolving those issues so that the December equitable share is not affected. We are sitting at an average of 2 months cash coverage, meaning the cash that we have in the bank covers the operations of the city for about 2 months without any stresses. We have seen, though, a decline in the collection rate since the announcement of the withholding of the equitable share by National Treasury. But we are driving collections in the city, led by the Deputy Executive Mayor, who's also the MMC for Finance. Our conditional grant spending as of 30 June 2026, we are sitting at 95% average across the board on all the grants. The major grants that the city is receiving is the Urban Development Finance Grant, which is a new grant that is dedicated at improving infrastructure and service delivery on water and sanitation. And so we've spent about 95% on UDFG. Under ISUPG, we are sitting at 92%, and USDG, we are sitting also at 96%. Those are the three major grants that are being implemented for infrastructure improvement. Then we've got your PTNG that is utilized for the development of infrastructure for the bus transit system that we all know in Mangaung as Haweng. The grant is currently sitting at 30% spending. And the reason for the low spending is relating to the procurement issues and the delays coming from NDOT in as far as the business plan that was submitted. But we hope that for 26-27, we will be able to spend about 200 million allocation under that grant. But the city is also engaging with the province, or at least from the side of NDOT, with their decision to wind down the allocation to cities on the IPTN. There should be discussions flowing between the city and the province to discuss the PTOC and other grants allocated in support of public transport. We have one flagship project that we wanted to mention to this meeting, which is one of the concerns of the people of Mangaung, which is the certainty of water availability. We have completed the upgrades on the Masselsport to the tune of 116 million expenditure to date, and the project is sitting now at completion, and very soon the project will be handed over to the municipality. We thought that is important for us to highlight in this meeting. One of other major projects that we implemented in 25-26 is the meter replacement project. I think members would understand the challenges we have as a city on water losses, which your commercial losses are contributing, as well as unaccounted for water. So to an extent that under UDFG, we have allocated about 40 million towards meter replacement, and from own funds, we allocated about 30 million towards this project. This project is going to run for a period of 3 years, where we are replacing stuck meters and installing meters in unmetered areas. And the biggest one is the fact that we are now migrating from your conventional meters and prepaid meters to smart metering to support the objective of National Treasury of improving the state of finances in municipalities. On the intermodal taxi rank, the executive mayor has spoken about it, but just to touch on key points is that the city spent 379 million in the development of the intermodal, and that intermodal was completed on the 8th of October in 2012 when it was officially handed over to the municipality. And I think all of us, when we're passing around that precinct, it is a sore eye to see. But we have been engaging with the NDPG unit of National Treasury. We are intending to repurpose the precinct. It is part of the NDPG program, which is in the process of being developed and approved by National Treasury. But the points that the mayor has raised, number one, are the challenges of the transfer of the land. The land belongs to Transnet, and the property on the land belongs to the municipality. And we have been in conversations with Transnet to get the transfer of ownership of land to the municipality, and had been some stumbling blocks in the process of ensuring that transfer does take place, which number one is the fact that there was a service provider appointed or operating the precinct, which has accumulated debt, and now there's a struggle between Transnet and that service provider in terms of making good the clearance amounts that were requested from the city, which are in excess of 3 million. But I think that there will be follow-up meetings with Transnet to get that part right. The other challenge that we want to present to this committee is the fact that the city is implementing the Haweng bus and transit, and in terms of the service compact or the strategy on Haweng, the whole program intends to take out the taxis in specific routes and replace those taxis with the Haweng buses. Now, the next route that we are planning to implement was Route 1C, which is running in the greater Mangaung from Uchabela to Pelindaba. But upon assessment of the implication of the winding down of the PTNG, the city then decided to change the strategy and focus on Route 1D, which covers your the northern part of the city, to augment the existing buses that we have on that side and expanding on those routes. So we are saying if the Haweng buses continue, That taxi rank calls for repurposing, because then the design of the taxi rank was meant for the taxis, and if the buses will now be taking over and utilizing that, then there will be design issues that will come through. But the matter is not yet debated in detail at the level of council, though we presented in the budget that the intermodal taxi rank must now be included under NDPG, the Neighborhood Development Partnership Grant, and see how best can we deal with the problem and ensure that the city doesn't lose the 380 million spent on that property. Those engagements are still flowing until the business plan is approved. I already alluded to the challenges, but one of other challenges is the vandalism that is ongoing there. It is difficult for the city to spend on security or related protection of that precinct due to the cost implications and not knowing the future of the precinct. But the EMT is discussing these matters, and we should be able to present to council a proposal on how do we move forward, together with the fact that it is already now under NTPG. The last point I would like to make is on the Botshabelo wastewater treatment works, which the executive mayor has presented on it. But at high level, again, the plant itself is partially operational. The key issues that we have now that are remaining to be completed is the installation of the new mixers. But the procurement of the mixers has happened. We are waiting for the delivery. But just in detail, the progress, the construction of the guardhouse is 100% complete. We have replaced the 15 mixers in the anaerobic ponds. That project is 10% because we are just waiting for the delivery of the mixers, get them installed. Then that part of the project will also be reported completed. Then we have refurbished 8 aerators. They are currently sitting at 80% in progress. Then the vandalism that has taken place in terms of the mechanical equipment, that project is completed and is reported at 100%. We are busy with the rewiring and refurbishment. The project is funded, is currently sitting at 85%. We have refurbished the sludge pumps at 100%. The clarifiers had been completed as well. They are sitting at 100%. Security monitoring system had been installed. We've got a service provider that is monitoring the movements around the plant to prevent vandalism that we have suffered. That project is 100%. The refurbishment of chlorination system is sitting at 50%. That project in 2 weeks' time, according to the project manager, will also be completed. And we are now installing the outflow meters, which the project is currently sitting at 70%. In terms of the spending on this plant, the city has spent about 90 million on the refurbishment, not only on the Botshabelo wastewater treatment plant, but across the board, from the USDG funds that we receive, as well as the UDFG that is dedicated for water and sanitation projects. That is all from our side, Chairperson of the meeting. Thank you, Executive Mayor.
Thanks, Madam CFO, or what's again, City Manager? CFO. Okay, Madam CFO. Executive Mayor, do you have any additions, or you done?
Chairperson, I think we are in a position to take questions if there are any.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, our colleagues from the Department of Public Works National, they are here. Welcome, colleagues. We've been waiting for you. I have received quite a list of names, 8 of them, so I'm not sure because I can see only 4 faces here, or 3. So I'm not sure who's gonna be leading in terms of your presentation, because we want to take these 2 presentations. When we take questions and responses, we know that we are done with presentations for the day. So who's gonna lead us from your good selves? And then you'll introduce yourself and your position. Thanks. Okay. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, the parliamentary members, members of the provincial government, and the executive mayor, and the protocol observed. My name is Tepiso Ramofi. I'm working from Department of Public Works at head office. I'm a director, construction management on behalf of the DDG and the chief director. They're having another portfolio committees.
Yeah, I must indicate that we'll respond to them. In future, we are not going to allow that the minister and the DDG are not here when we request them to be here. Because those are the people whom we are holding them accountable. We are not holding officials accountable as the national parliament. So we are going to address it directly with them because our letters went to them, not to yours. But proceed, madam.
Thanks, Chair. Under DPW, we have two projects, the Park Road and Odendals Rest SAPS. I'll start with the Park Road SAPS. The project started in 2017, where due to the delays that encountered through the department, we have assigned the project to DBSA as our implementing agent to assist us with the implementation. However, we have faced different challenges on the different place, but for a background purpose, I'll start only on the appointment of contractors. Under the contract management, we have appointed two contractors, which ultimately both of them were terminated. The first contractor was appointed on the October 2017 for a 24 months contract with contract amount of 86 million. However, he started with the performance, but due to the financial constraint, the contractor was ended up terminated in July 2019 after we had some extension of times, which also during this project we even tried to sit the project to another contractor through our implementing agent. The physical progress at that time was at 16%. The department has engaged with the DBSA to recover the damage that has been caused on this contract, which DBSA is still on that process. We have engaged our legal services to take forward this process because it's been prolonged. On the second contractor, we had the contractor by Mpumelelo, which we appointed in 2021. Also, we had few challenges, which amongst other challenges was the payment of the contractor and the consultant. However, we resolved that problem. On the progress, we also had DBSA, I think they had a challenge with the system, which the contractor ended up terminating the system, which on this one we are holding the DBSA accountable. Also, our legal services is in that process. From this background, we have decided that we try to give DBSA opportunities to revive themselves in implementing this project. We have seen that the strategy is failing. Therefore, we decided that as DPW, we are going to implement this project at our own. We have come up with the project execution plan, which will resolve the current challenges that are there on site, which the planned handover of the project, appointment of the contractor, will be in May 2027. I will go through the implementing plan so that I justify why we'll end up appointing the contractor in May 2027. Currently, we are having the allocation of 30 million to be spent in 26-27. However, we don't have approval of the overall project cost, which it's presented to our infrastructure committee internally. They have returned it because they want a clear strategy on how are we holding the DBSA and those two contractors. They need a recovery plan, which we are going back to them on the 31st of August with a clear plan, assisted by our legal services. So we're going to go, because the IBC only sits once a month. We'll be presenting the overall budget with all the recovery plan on the 8th of October 2026. We're also having the appointment of a consultant, because we are having structural engineer that has terminated their services. We are going to start with the process upon getting approval of the funding from our infrastructure budget committee. From the 12th of October, we'll start with that process. We are planning to appoint the consultant by the end of mid-December, before we go on builders' holiday. They will start to review the designs, because we cannot go with the initial scope that we have. I believe that from what we have done previously, the state of the police station is no longer the same, therefore we cannot use the same design. They will need to review those designs. The plan is to complete that process by the 1st of February 2027. The process of procurement of the contractor will be concluded on the 7th of May 2027, which will have a handover of site to the contractor on 4th of June 2027, considering the construction permit that will have to engage the Department of Labor. This project will be for 12 months. We are planning that we'll give the SAPS their building on the 3rd of June 2028. I will move to the second project, which is Odendal's Rest. Odendal's Rest also, the project, like I said in my opening, we have assigned it to DBSA. In 2017, DBSA has appointed the contractor on the 8th of May 2018. Between the project implementation, we had the challenge also on the payment between DBSA and the Public Works and the consultant. The architect decided to put everything on hold before the payment can be done. The payment was done in 2022. The contractor was instructed to go back to site. However, they have sufficed a claim of 5 million, which they demanded that Public Works pay them as an advance payment. Therefore, Public Works couldn't adhere to that. They decided to terminate their system. So the plan to have this project resuscitated, currently I must indicate, Chairperson, that we have not done anything, but there is a security on site. We are having the plan also. This project, we have decided that we'll be doing it using the DPW process. We are not going to use our implementing agent. Also on this one, because we still need approval from SAPS, this one is a capital project, is funded by our client. However, they requested some information that will comfort them. Also, the issue of accountability. Who should take responsibility on the damage that has been caused on this project, because they have made a budget available, then there was issues that we have encountered during the implementation. Therefore, the issue of budget also is taking time, but we have planning to have the contractor on site in June 2027. We have prepared the letter to SAPS, which we are anticipating that if we can get the budget approval by the 31st of August, we'll be able to meet our deadline of the June 2027. According to our plan, the reason that we are saying we'll appoint in June also, there are consultants that terminated their services, but this one was not due to any other reason, was because of their retirement. Majority of them, they retired. They wrote the letter that they cannot proceed with this project when we try to resuscitate, because it's going to be for 18 months contract, therefore they won't be avail themselves. We are planning to finalize the procurement of this consultant by the 29th of January 2027. Also because on this site there is vandalism, they need to go back and do the designs. We are planning that we are going to have a design review completed by 26th of February 2027 and have go through the procurement process for 3 months and appoint the replacement contractor. Due to the value of this project, also we are anticipating the month of the construction permit, which we are going to hand over the site in July 2027. With 18 months, we are planning that the client, subject to approval of the funding by the 31st of August, will finish this project on 15th of January 2029. Thanks, Chair. I'm done with both the facilities. Thanks.
Thanks, Madam. Colleagues, there we are, two presentations, one from the Mangaung Metro, one from the Department of Public Works at national level. Questions? Let me do this. Honorable Mandisa, Honorable Igo, Honorable Pizzo, Honorable McKay, Honorable Pretorius. Honorable Mandisa.
Thanks, Chair. Good afternoon to EM from Mangaung and the team and the DPSA and the Public Works. Chair, I just want to check one thing. Okay, I'm not sure. Last year we visited 3 projects of Mangaung. There were 1 project that we didn't get more clarity, although agriculture was here, regarding the project of Pigari in Tabanshu. If you can just update us, how are you planning either to phase out or how to revive the project? Because the presentation that we have received from the agriculture is worrying, and I don't think the people of Mangaung, of that community of 41, will get any closure. The issue of the intervention of the National Treasury regarding the financial recovery plan. If they have left the municipality, what support are they giving you at the distance? And what is the plan of the minister so that they can hand over the municipality? Or are you still under administration of the national, although the rep of the national department is no longer here? The last issue on Mangaung, I just want to check, Chair, the clarity regarding the dispute of the treatment plant in Botshabelo and Transnet. What is the delay of resolving so that the Transnet to transfer? Because I know most of the time they are more effective, or is it the problem of the consultant? Maybe they are owing, or is there any mechanism while they are resolving their dispute, they can hand over the land so that we are able to do your work? More so, you are already committed to finances of the municipality. What is exactly the challenge? Then on the issue of the DPSA and the Public Works, I think really DPSA and the Public Works, we are taking the people of the Free State for their right. We are really, there's no commitment. Last year we were told that you are going to do the plans. Now we are told the plans, especially of Odindal, will be done either 2027 or 2026. While the people of Kutlwanong, they don't have a police station, and that the money that has been spent, because the DPSA last year committed that they will do the work. And why did you wait the Public Works till now, while we see the DPSA is not doing anything to assist us so that we can get out to finish this project? For how long must we come? Or next day you are here because you are coming to the presentation, you just told, let's go and tell them we are going to do it. Next day we're still going to get another story. And the gentleman with the white shirt, you were here last year presenting to us. We're with you in that park road. You promised that you will hand over whatever that we are doing, their progress with the team that we are leading. We couldn't down a finance closer, something like that, in your team. Today, Kamata is not here. Other people are here. Nishala just to play with us. When are you intending to finalize the project? If we don't have a capacity, why do you delay the people so that you hand over to the relevant department, including the Public Works? They are just waiting for just to come with a lame excuse to tell us the project will be fine. When are you intending, both of you, to finalize the project? And what are you doing with the resources that were injected to this project? so that the people of Free State, of Park Road, the people of Odindal, Kutlano, they do get services. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makesin. On the issue of a transfer between Transnet and the municipality, I had it to be about the taxi rank, not the treatment plant. But when the municipality come back for responses, they will clarify that, because I was about to say, if the issue is the transfer between municipality and Transnet, we can engage the Minister of Transport at national level to intervene so that this process can be speed up, because it cannot be the one that held at ransom. This process has been like on hold for a very long time, and at least Mangaung is trying to move towards intervening in that project that was worrisome. Honorable Igor.
Thank you, Provincial Whip. So my first is going to Mangaung, and I assumed it's also a project that you have inherited. But have you done any back-checking on who approved the design, what was the business model, without really securing an arrangement with the taxi industry? Do you have documentation where you went to sit with them? Who signed off the project, delivering? Is it value for money? And what consequent management have we done? Even though it's a legacy, but there needs to be somebody to held accountable for something that is built and now it's not fulfilling his whole purpose. And then I just want to go in. It was mentioned that you want to repurpose it. So can we just get some clarity on what do you want to repurpose it now? Because when you drive through there, it's dark. And I know last time we were there, and no official from Mangaung accompanying us there. They just didn't bother to even send us a response to us, so we had to do a tour by ourselves. But the businesses had to close, and it's a hub. There's taxis, people, there's doctors, those things. So what are you currently doing now to maintain it? And then I want to have clarity on this service provider that's owning. Who's the service provider? If that building belongs to Mangaung, then clearly that service provider, who's the service provider? And I failed to understand that we can't transfer, it belongs to Transnet, but the service provider. So who is the service provider owning money to? Because I'm a little bit confused on that. And then with Department of Public Work, with the delay and everything, what is the Department of Police doing? How much money have they not paid over? Because obviously you're acting on behalf of the agent. And I remember, I don't know if it was this gentleman who said to us in Odendaelsrus last time, the reason why some of these delays is because the Department of Police have given you this project, it's 5 million, they give you 1 million, and now they expect Department of Public Work must bring the other 4 million. So how have Department of Police, because and again, they are the agent. I'm not even going to go back into Development Bank of South Africa, because I just get a headache when I see that name. And I know that's where we are. But what is Department of Police doing, enabling your department to go for that? And I think that's what I have for now. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. If they'll be able to respond on behalf of Department of Police, they will. But if not, it is our responsibility to seek those clarities from the Department of Police at national level. Honorable Pizzo.
Thank you, Chair. As far as the tax rank is concerned, and also looking at the period, Honorable Mayor, you know, it's like this project, it's for NCOP. Only after a year when we come back, we still get a report that says we're doing this. Nothing has come to fruition that at least you wanted this, or the community wanted this, and therefore you have completed it. I'm just making that chair statement on the basis of, it's like, yes, something will be happening if you're listening to the executive mayor and the CFO, but I must express that it is disappointing that after a year the state is still the same, and completing it with the DBSA and Public Works. I want to agree with Honorable Makiseni, well, no, she stole the thunder. Without being repetitive, I don't know this marriage of Public Works and DBSA, whether it's helping South African taxpayers or it's only serving to continuously pouring money into DBA's pocket, but with no results. And after 9 years, ma'am, you are adding another 3 years to 12 years to complete Odindal Strays police station. It is disheartening because you also don't tell us then, out of all these years that the two police stations could not be completed, who is going to be accountable as far as the losses are concerned. But I agree also with Honorable Ego. It is disappointing, DBSA, my brother. You know, when we were at Park Road, how we expressed our disappointment. And I just want to ask this question. If you were the one who were investing this money for 12 years and your house is not completed, how are you going to feel? How are we expected to account to the South African taxpayers as public representatives that we promised them to deliver 2 police stations, which was handed to the contractor in 2017, and you were appointed, trusted that you will make sure that the project is in 9 years down the line, we are still talking the same thing. Do you really think of the money that has been spent to pay you, the flights that you have been coming to Bloemfontein year in and out, saying the same thing? Are we really taking our work seriously? Are we really taking the taxpayers seriously? And as Honorable Makisini said, you don't take either us serious or yourselves not serious. It is really disappointing that to date you are still talking about processes. The last question which I want to ask to you direct, this report that you are presenting to us now, the presentation, when was it finalized? When you were about to come here? What happened in the last 12 months since we were here? While you are only reporting today that you have now a new plan. When did this new plan come into place? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable McKay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My questions go to Mangaung first. Considering when we last met, the municipality was about to propose a loan of 350 million because they cited the non-receipt of the equitable share, and you mentioned that now, which is mentioned that you've been paid it out. Did the municipality then go ahead and make that loan? And if so, considering the fact that you just said that you've got the cash assets to be able to maintain the municipality for 2 months or more, is it really necessary to have made that loan if it was made? If not, will it be necessary to make that loan? And then considering the fact that you've got 2 months in advance cash flow to run the municipality, and that you are, according to what you've just reported, implementing the financial recovery program, unfortunately only 58% of your mandatory activities have been implemented. So 42% of them have not been implemented. Why is that? What are the reasons for that? I mean, one of the most important reasons or pillars of the financial recovery plan is your debt collection. Yet the municipality states that 88% of its debt will be unrecoverable. So if 88% of your debt is unrecoverable, and you're only receiving most of your payments in 108 days, how is it then possible for you to have a funded budget? Because your indigent list, according to your statements as well, is not up to date and not been verified. To make things matters worse, the municipality takes an average of 168 days before they make any payments to its creditors. So all that revolves around being a funded budget. So if you don't know how much money you got going out, and you don't know how much money you got coming in, how do you work out a budget and then claim that it's funded? Going to the taxi rank. As my colleague next to me said, yeah, the last time we were here, or they were here, it was dark. So my question is, what have you done to address the inadequate electricity supply and the operation unsuitability for the taxi rank? That taxi rank, as far back as I can remember, has been a white elephant. It's standing there, and it became a crime hub. At one stage, it was then let out. Are any of those tenants, are there lease arrangements? Have they been updated? Is there security for the taxi rank? Is it generating an income? And if it is generating an income, where is that income going? Where is it recorded? And then the Botshabelo facility. In the Botshabelo facility, you've now mentioned that you've got the guardhouse 100% complete. Do you have a security firm? Because that is the problem that we've got with all 7 wastewater treatment works in Mangaung. I think if once that one becomes functional, there'll only be 3 that are functional within the Mangaung area, which greatly contributes to the sanitation and water problem we have. What is the security? Is this one security firm? Is it separate security firms? How long are they contracted for? When was the last time the refurbishments actually took place in all the water treatment works, including the Botshabelo treatment works, which is now, you've said, I heard what you said, the sludge has been removed and the progress has been made, which is wonderful. But there are other outstanding issues, both within the taxi rank and the wastewater treatment works. So we need a timeline. The one thing that we never get is timelines. So if you can give me a timeline when this will be expected to be finished and finalized, that we know that if you walk into the water treatment works, it's working. If you go into the taxi rank, it's functional, lights are on, tenants have got releases, and whether it's been used for buses or whether it's been used for taxis is irrelevant, that it's actually functional, so it's not just standing there. And the last question, your electricity and water distribution losses are extremely high. I mean, you've got 40.42% of electricity losses. 22.46% is in water losses. The water losses that is according to your report, but according to independent reports, it's closer to 35, closer to 40%. My question is, how much of these losses are due to old infrastructure, leaks, illegal connections, and vandalism? And if it is largely towards illegal connections and vandalism, what has been done about it? Have you got, is your Metro Police lined up to be doing investigations? Are they going into it? And if not, what is your consequence management? Because that's one big problem we seem to have with the Mangaung municipality. There doesn't seem to be any consequence management. The disciplinary committees last forever, never comes out to the outcome. If they are held, others are not even tabled. They're pushed under the table. They never take place. So the consequence management, how many officials in the last 5 years have actually been held accountable for maladministration and financial malfeasance? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think some of the questions that the panel might not be able to respond, they can always send the responses in writing at a later stage, because some of the questions will not necessarily per what we have requested on the presentation from the speakers. Honorable Pretorius.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and I've been greatly covered by now, Chair. My only question that I have is regarding the Brandwag social housing units. The MSc of Human Settlements indicated the progress made with Dark and Silver City, and then the question was regarding what is the plan of Mangaung regarding the Brandwag social housing units. As indicated, it is in a terrible state. in terms of the infrastructure, we're having a lot of complaints from the community regarding allegations of criminal activity taking place there, and just the dignity in which people reside at the Brandwag social housing units. If Mangaung can take us into confidence about what is the plan for the BSHU, who is currently in charge there. We know it was Freshco, we know Shra has been involved, National has been involved, Provincial has been involved, but the land still belongs to the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. What is the plan for the BSHU? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pretorius. From myself, I'm having a question to the Public Works National. Madam, in your presentation, you indicated the, what can I call it, the failures or an inability of DPSA to execute the two projects under review. My question is, what is it that the Department of Public Works National will do as a consequence management in this regard? Because I can see that even now, you still being with them as the department, and these projects have been there for quite some time now without being completed. So what are the recourses that the national department will implement in correcting this matter? Because one of the issues that we're really lacking, it is to implement the consequence management, because these are also the frustrations even from the AG, national and provincial. The Auditor General's concerns is that most of the recommendations to government, there seem to be not willingness from the side of government to really implement the consequence management in terms of correcting whatever wrongdoings that could have happened, especially when we speak the public funds. And I think this matter cannot have color, cannot have age, cannot have political affiliation. It's a matter of a principle, a matter of discipline, a matter of respecting what you have said you'll be able to do. I do. Like Tina, as politicians sitting here, all the time you are being reminded to what we said, we are available. When the province was saying, Mapule, we are deploying you in the NCOP to represent us, I said, yes, I do. So this I do must cut across all spheres of government, including be it your entities, whatever the case is, or the agents, consultant, everyone, because it cannot be fair that we hold only executive accountable when in actual fact the implementation is done by administration. To be honest and fair, the implementation is done by administration, and that is where many of our problems are. How are we going to deal with that as Department of Public Works at national level? Thanks. Maybe we'll start like this. Ntatisi and your team, you will respond, and then you will be the last one to respond, because this is how we took presentation. Over to you, Ndati.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to the members, honorable members, for asking the question that they did. Let me start first with the question that deals with piggery, and I'm starting with this deliberately because the last time I was before you, I was asked this question and I ridiculed myself to say, I can't remember the municipality dealing with pigs. And there was a serious laughter. And immediately thereafter I had to go and do some research, and that is owing to my lateness in the institution. However, quite responsible to also take punch on whatever might have happened, whether I was there or not. I'm happy to answer the committee by saying, immediately after that difficult question, I made an envoy to visit this particular project. And I found that although plans were done and the project was to be implemented, but no much work was done. Meaning, therefore, consequence management had to be the order of the day. I'm not going to harp on the consequence management because we are through MPEC and as well as a financial disciplinary board dealing with a number of cases that include but not limited to some of the issues that were raised. Where we are with the project is that we then send our MMC together with the Department of Agriculture on site, and upon realizing that there is a need for that project to be resuscitated, they concluded that they will, on a share-based arrangement, putting the resources, they are therefore then going to kindle and put the project in place. And last week they then had to put a plan in place to say it's happening in an area where the royal house and the royal and traditional leadership is responsible. So they will be having a meeting with the traditional leadership to introduce themselves and indicate that it is their quest to resuscitate and put the project in place. So I must indicate that, and that's what happened. So that's what will be happening. With the figures and facts that happened in the past, which this committee alerted me to, is the one that I then had to take it to my team to say, subject to UIFW, can this also be one of the area of interest to ensure that accountability is inside? On the issue of Transnet, I think it was reported that based on us trying to make some inroads in terms of developing further that precinct to be in good use, it's upon that we discovered that the land did not belong to the municipality. And I think that will answer to the disappointment that my honorable member spoke to indicate that work was done, and it was upon going to Transnet then to say to them, look, the land belongs to you, the money on top of the land is ours, and this is an irregular arrangement. It can't be. We would need the land to be on our side, so that we must begin to use the precinct in accordance with what we think it could serve the purpose for. And my team went, led by the city manager, they met with Transnet. An agreement was reached to say, no, we will transfer the land to you. However, the company that was running for and on behalf of Transnet, the precinct, was called Aljak, which did not pay its due to the municipality with services that were supposed to have been, and I think it accrued to about 2.5 million rand.
2.5 to 3 now.
Yeah, now it's actually working towards 3. And the money, therefore, we wanted to that it be coming from the Transnet side. And the Transnet quite strongly came to say, look, it's not us, it's actually the company that was dealing with it. Now, I want to answer again to the issue of disappointment. The only, I come from a business background. If it was my company, I would have resolved that matter overnight. But in the municipality, there are regulations that must be followed. You can't just say, okay, fine, Transnet, you owe 2.5 or 3 million now. We'll write off that and then we'll put the transaction. Papers, processes, discipline, as well as accountability must be in place for us to do so. So the officials are engaging Transnet to check if we can do a write-off so that the land must come on our side and then the precinct belongs to us. Now, currently, the precinct is not in full control of the municipality in terms of its running. It's running. However, there are people that are in that property, which, and I want to put this as a jigsaw puzzle. If you look around the city, you will find that buildings that were not occupied are vandalized. And vandalism comes mainly when people come in and they can't find any security arrangement and therefore then start molesting and vandalizing the property. That's the first point I want to register. The second point that I want to register, and I like that some of the colleagues that asked me the question at some point were in the same institution and we would understand our frustration together. But let me answer it this way. Our law enforcement unit is not equal the challenges that we are facing in the metro. Hence, some of the security elements that we use are private. I think our law enforcement unit is at the level of 300 people across the metro, if I'm not mistaken, and we needed to reinforce on that. There was an attempt to have a metro police. We don't have a metro police. There was an attempt to have a metro police, and you would realize that the SIU, amongst other things that they will be investigating, is their build up to establish a metro police in our territory. However, we have looked and we are truly looking into how best we can bring the metro police into place, so that we must be able to have enough personnel to ensure that we first implement our own bylaws. Secondly, we protect our precincts and properties. Thirdly, we are ensuring that the collection rate is disciplined, which the CFO will talk to at a later stage. Now, what I'm trying to put before the committee is that we are not laxed and reluctant to take people out of that property that are literally not paying their services. But we would want to do so when we have got the budget on our side, so that when we come in, we then take from where the precinct is to be where it should be, without it having been vandalized to any degree, whilst also putting into place mechanisms of us and Transnet agreeing, so that we must begin to charge those that must pay for their services with regard to that property. That's what I would say so far, Chairperson. Now, the repurposing of the property, I think it takes into consideration, when the CFO made mention of repurposing, it takes into consideration other strides that we are making in this transport discipline. There is highwaying as one of the transport mobility that begins to address certain routes that may bring to an end the many taxis that you see on our roads. And the more the buses are going to occupy space, the lesser the taxis are going to be. That would then speak to also the precinct. What are you intending to use it for the future to come? Now that would actually then speak to repurposing. As to the exact discipline of repurposing the precinct for, there are so many needs, and we'll have to really look at the needs that are closer to service delivery and the needs of our people on the ground. Now, there was a question also with regard to the process of who approved the plan. I think the plans that are in the city are a subject of our planning unit, and plans will be subjected there, and on the strength of their user value would actually go the grinding process. I know the question could be saying, did the people who approved the plan made sense of who owns the land? That's the discipline of UIFW that we are dealing with, including who should be then brought to book for not doing their fiduciary duty at a time when the precinct came into existence. So such are part of what CFO and the team under the leadership of the city manager are dealing with regard to what happened to the precinct. Now, Chairperson, I want to the question was also, did that process engage taxi owners? According to the records, there were serious engagement, and but those engagement, I think, did not also take into consideration the discipline of mobility into the structure and proper planning. That led to the taxi owners boycotting the property to say it does not fit, it's not fit for purpose with regard to their utilization. So repurposing it would also take into consideration that as and when we budget to fine-tune it to the needs of our people. All stakeholders that must use the present at the point of refurbishing it must be taken into consideration. I have engaged the taxi owners. They had made some proposals, and we still have to work on them with regard to how best that present can be utilized. And I know that the question comes from, there was a contradiction between the taxi owners and the municipalities for limited or lack of consultation as the present was brought to life. So all those aspects must, as we move forward, be taken into consideration. Consultation at its best discipline. Chairperson, before I allow my officials to take other questions, let me deal with the issue of Brandwag. The Brandwag precinct, it's a property that was financed by SHRA and developed. I think Fresco was a company that came to liquidation, and SHRA came into the picture. But as a municipality, we took charge of Brandwag. I can tell the committee that at the time when we were dealing with Brandwag, of about 1,000, I think 1,100 dwellings that are in Brandwag, only 0.4% was paying. It was around, I think, 18 people. 18 dwellings occupants were paying. So we then took a charge as the municipality to ensure that Brandwag adhere to its payment pattern. We verified the people in Brandwag, and in our process of verification, we realized that there were bogus, and there are still bogus tenants who are receiving payment from the occupants of Brandwag. The original occupants are no longer there. The new people that are there are the ones that are either renting and are renting from these bogus tenants that are living in Brandwag. So then we brought everything to book, we verified everybody, we channeled them to say, you can't be paying to, you have to pay to the municipality. And the municipality was working in line during that process with SHRA. Now, SHRA took the matter to court to seek eviction. And when SHRA then took the matter to court and seek eviction, it became difficult now for us as the municipality to now demand payment from the people, because SHRA was saying those that must pay must be authentic people and in accordance with the regulation as to who should occupy those dwellings. And as a result, that pushed us out as the municipality from now dealing with the people of Brandwag directly. Now we had to go via SHRA for us to successfully deal with them. At a point where we are is that SHRA has acquired eviction order. As to when they are going to implement it, I'm not sure, Chairperson. We are awaiting SHRA to do so. Brandwag then was mobilized to have a very inherent attitude towards the engagement with them and the municipality. That even makes our life difficult to provide services that we are supposed to provide there. They are not paying for the water they are using. They are not paying for a number of aspects. They have override our electricity, and we are at a point where we are going to now cut services that are not being paid for in Brandwag. And that will be in line with also the eviction order that SHRA will come in with it. We are not involved in the actual eviction order, it's not our space, but we indeed can say without any shadow of doubt, should it be in place, we will welcome it, because we need to be a municipality that must be responsible. And ours, Chairperson, is subject to surviving on collections. And it is the discipline of collections that will make us resuscitate all the services that are needed in this municipality. So any penny and any cent at any corridor, it is mostly needed. On that note, I would like then to ask the CFO to deal with questions that has to, and the city manager, of course. I think they are more financially disciplined, and they would understand. I've jotted them down, and when they're not answering, I'll remind them. The loan that was asked, the FRP that is now at 58%, the 88% non-recoverable, 160 days of non-payment, they must be answerable to you. Electricity losses and water losses that are there. When they answer, when a need arises, I'll have to show that I'm hands-on on these things. But because they are next to me, I would want them to go on facts and figures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Executive Mayor. The CM has arrived. I will hand over to him as well. I think the Mayor has covered a lot on the piggery in Tabanchu. But the constraint that we are sitting with them since the visit of the Executive Mayor and the Economic Development Committee is the funding source of that project. Because previously, even the design works that were done were funded under USDG. With the changes in the grant framework and the introduction of the UDFG, that has taken 60% of the USDG towards the water and sanitation trading services, it will become a problem on how this project will actually be funded. But there is work that is being done. There was a site visit recently by the committee. We will have to go back to the previous consultant, review the costings that were done around 2018, 2019, and see what are the estimates currently, and see how best that project can be funded. So it is back in the cards or discussions of the municipality. We are going to start the process of reviewing the costings that were already done. Now, in terms of the support received from National Treasury, in actual fact, we've got a letter written by Treasury to NCOP about the status of FRP and the support that we're getting. As much as National Treasury and COCTA are not in the building with the cabinet representative, there is support provided through the war room that has been established. We are sitting on a quarterly basis. They are assessing our Section 71 reports and give us comments in terms of the progress we are making towards achieving the targets that are set in the FRP. Therefore, they are not there, but on a quarterly basis, we meet with them, we track progress, they highlight priorities for the next quarter, and we work on those priorities. The reason why we called for the review was the fact that when we looked overall, especially looking at the activities under service delivery, some of them we couldn't understand the basis of the recommendation that these activities must be implemented, and we expressed the difficulty in proceeding with the implementation of this FRP without it being reviewed and ensure that it makes sense, it is practical, and it is funded. And that is the process we are in now, to review and ensure that the activities are not 300 activities for implementation, but they must be purposeful and must be intentional in terms of ensuring that the city achieve the targets and put measures in place to prevent the triggers that led to the fall of the finances and service delivery in Mangaung. So that is the status currently. We are progressing. When you're looking overall on the progress, on the institutional and governance, the city has made significant progress, as well as financial pillar. The pillar that was lagging behind was service delivery, which is the one that had challenges in terms of how do we then move with the implementation of the recommended activities. And I think it was one major area that called for the review, but we are dealing with that issue. On the overdraft, we didn't want to go for a loan. The intention was, in the current banking services contract we have, that it must have an overdraft facility to accommodate the rainy days or in case the city is running out of cash. We presented here that we did an assessment of the cash position of the city, and we indicated to this committee that based on the projections, the city was going to sit with enough cash until November. But with the challenges with your collection rate that are fluctuating, there was going to be a risk when we are approaching the month of November if the equitable share was not being released, and hence we went with the proposal to council to approve an overdraft facility. Due to the fact that there was already indication that the equitable share will be released, Council withdrew the item from the agenda. It didn't progress forward, but it did receive recommendation from the Finance Committee and Mayoral Committee for consideration by Council. But when we reached Council, the equitable share was already released, and Council said there's no need unless we can put another motivation for the overdraft other than the one that was put in the agenda. Then I'm going to deal with the electricity losses because I'm going to come back on the budget issues because the questions were quite detailed, and I think we need to do justice in responding to them. You are correct in terms of the percentages of the losses in electricity and the losses in the water sector. Under electricity, you would recall that last year, Centlec did an assessment to establish or to pinpoint exactly the areas that have led to the increase in the losses, as on average in the prior years before 30 June 2025, Centlec losses were between 3 to 8%, which was even below the minimum of 12% that is allowed in terms of tariff determination in accordance with NERSA. We saw an increase from that to 12% in the 2025-2026. And Centlec then started a process where they went back to check on the commercial losses and ran an amnesty program because they could pick up that there are people with illegal connections to the grid, and that if you run an amnesty where people come forward, declare themselves, then we can implement corrective measures in the billing and installation of meters, then we could see a turnaround. We haven't gotten the report as Mangaung in terms of the outcomes of that amnesty project, and as soon as we get that report, we'll be able to know what improvements or what did they pick up and the implications and impact and the improvements that we would like to see in that sector. On the water side, the technical losses in water are very low. They are currently sitting between 4 to 6%. The major losses in the water sector are on the commercial side. We've got many properties that are unmetered, and hence earlier spoken about 72 million that are spent only in 25-26 to do the meter installation and meter replacement program. And I also indicated that under UDFG for 25, 26, 27 up to 2031 to 2032, we will be continuing this project of installation of smart meters to control consumption as well as payment culture to improve. Therefore, we are dealing with these issues. We also have a problem of townships that are not yet registered but are receiving water. So if I can break down the percentages, I would say that about 18% of the losses are in relation to unaccounted for water, and another 10% is relating to unaccounted for water, and then about 8% is dealing with your technical losses. When we were implementing the TID rollover project, when the tokens, I think most of the members of this committee would know, we picked out that city has installed about 48,000.
Executive Mayor, sorry, Executive Mayor and the team. I want to make a proposal. I can see that the question asked, they need a comprehensive report from the municipality. I will propose that you respond in summary form, ne? The question asked. However, the unpacking of these questions in a form of a comprehensive report do come later. You also cover the issues that you will want us to know that we did not even ask about them as the municipality. Because quite frankly, your presentation, it can take us the whole day, and unfortunately, Executive Mayor, this is not a portfolio committee of Parliament. This is a National Council of Provinces conducting its oversight. That's why we specifically went to a certain issues, but we don't prohibit any member or any MPL or MP to get more information. But unfortunately, due to the time that we have now, we cannot go in detail on how the municipality outlook is currently, including its financial status. We want a brief report so that at least we have a clue and understanding Uguti where the municipality is now. And I think honorable members will agree with me that the responses that you gave now quite covered most of the questions that were asked. I will then request that we pause at that level, you wrap up on what you are saying, then we hand over to the executive mayor to close for us on this subject. And then expect that a detailed report that will really indicate what members will do. Of course, the portfolio committees of parliament, be it the legislature at the provincial or national, they still have a right to can visit the municipality and get more information as much as they can really feel that they need that information for their own sake to execute their own work and mandate as portfolio committees of different parliaments in the country. But for now, I think the gist of what is happening in Mangaung, we got it. The wrap up CFO and hand back to the executive mayor. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chair. I think in wrapping up, I will just deal with the questions relating to the budget. How is it funded with the challenges that we alluded to on the collection rate, the point that you made on the creditors' payment days in terms of the reports of the city. This question comes a lot, and I think it would require a comprehensive presentation. Safe to say that what makes it a difference and ensure that the budget is funded are the assumptions that you are making, especially in relation to the collection rate and the provision that must be made, because it cushions overspending if your assumptions are accurate, but we'll elaborate more when we make a submission in writing on this point. Thank you so much, Executive Mayor.
Ntatisi, before you wrap up, let me bring to the attention of the municipality that earlier on the Pigari project, earlier on we received a presentation from the Premier and the MEC of Agriculture. And they also indicated the measures and processes that they are going to implement in mitigating the issue of Pigari Road, Pigari project in Tabanchu. And one of the things they highlighted, and also from concerns from honorable members, is that we need the municipality and the provinces, and when they are going to undertake the implementation or whatever of that particular project, they also view the issue, check the issue of the viability of the current project in its current form. Is it viable to have it or not? Because the views from the MEC was that that project in its current form might not be possible and doable for the province or the municipality to can implement it, because it needs a bulk infrastructure funding which the province might not have, or the municipality. So I'm saying I will advise that when you go back on this issue, go back with the office of the Premier and the agriculture in the province and have that consolidated approach as the province, and you mitigate this matter together so that you don't have parallel intervention in a similar project. That will be my intervention on that, because your presentations are similar. Somewhere they disjuncture from each other. So go back to the drawing board and talk to each other and have it. If the Department of Agriculture does take that, you as a municipality, you can have, through your own processes, hand it over to the Department of Agriculture in the province. Then you know that you have closed this matter as the municipality. You can wrap up, Councillor, and that is.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll take that into consideration. As a matter of fact, the visit to the project was last week. So I yet to get my report with regard to what is the best assessment that I think they've made together with the Department of Agriculture. So far, I know that they wanted to join hands and make sure that it must come to life. Chairperson, can I say to the committee, thank you very much for inviting us and asking us the question that we could answer, and I think we did try and do that to the best of our ability. As from me, I probably might not be a subject of your question in the very near future, given the election. So I would like to
Who
say,
told you that? Don't even start greeting us. We don't want your greetings.
yeah, but I would say thank you very much, and I've worked with you as a committee, and I've learned so much from the way you deal with things, and I hope we did live to the expectation of the committee. God loves you. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. You talk like a person who's dying tomorrow. I don't know why. Because there is no funeral in the midst currently. But thank you very much. You may leave if you're done. Thanks. Mayor, Department of Public Works National, over to you, Madam.
Thanks, Chairperson. I must say that as a department, I agree with the members. We have failed the community, not at the average decimally so with these two projects, and it's not only these two projects. From the question from the members, I'll start by the first one, which seems like our plan. It's something that we just created to present to the committee. I must indicate and say it was not just for the committee. It's a plan that we had, but what delayed the plan is that the department decided to say they need to do the entire review of the DBSA and DPW partnership. But in that process, there were lots of projects that has failed, but when you check on the failures, it will be pointing both DPW and DBSA and our clients, mostly in terms of the budget allocation, especially when the financial year starts and when it's end. Most of the projects, you find that they are not allocated. We are getting allocation from the client late. So when we try to hold the DBSA accountable, mostly they will come with the issue of, we didn't have any payment, like I'll use the ordinary stress as a root cause of the ordinary stress. When this issue started, we didn't have a amount to pay the consultant, they have to stop. So when we approach DBSA, say you need to be accountable, they say look at the root cause. You can't only look at what happened after we decided, because when the contractor demanded the advance, we had allocation from SAPS, but they're saying we cannot look at that. They demanded because they didn't trust the department and the DBSA. So there, the issue of accountability, that's where there is this disjuncture between DPW and DBSA.